All right, we're starting a few seconds early today. In case you guys weren't on the call that we had earlier, I am obviously a little under the weather by my voice, so I'm going to try to make it through this and not cough your ears off. That's okay, not anything serious, just a cold. And yeah, I joined the call late today, but we had a good call on today's pre-call. So again, those pre-calls are now happening at 8 a.m. because we want more time to hang out, which is awesome. So we're doing a full hour there and then a full hour or more here. So that's what's going on. I just want to make sure, do a quick check, make sure that you guys can see this and hear me okay. Leanne, can you let me know, please? Make sure we're 100% go.
Yes, we got you. We can hear you
Awesome.
loud and
All
clear.
right. We're here for week five, session one, man. Week five, hard to believe. All right. We're back on to the copywriter blueprint, and I'm going to go over last Friday's homework because it was so important. And I really want to emphasize why this is important. What we talked about is expanding a primary goal, AKA John Carlton style of headline writing. And I'm going to give you three top examples from the students in this week's class that participated. I just picked three. The first one was Davi, who said his primary goal is roughly control your diabetes, manage your diabetes. And that morphed into stop watching your granddaughter cry because you won't eat the gingerbread cookies she just baked for you. Okay, that's interesting. Now, I pulled this out for a reason. Okay, because you could also use this as a way to expand the complaint because this is a negative twist on controlling diabetes. So a positive twist on this would be something like, now you can enjoy eating all the gingerbread cookies you want. Your grandmother, your granddaughter just baked you. And she won't cry anymore. So I'm just turned that into like a positive version of that. Something I'd like you to work on there, Davi. Another one, a great one, was become a best-selling author. Became have movie producers battling each other over the rights to turn your book into the next biggest Hollywood blockbuster hit. That was Derek's. There's no way you can mistake either one of these. You can't mistake what it is. I don't have to wonder what cookies are, what a granddaughter. I don't have one, of course, but I don't know. I know what that would feel like to have a granddaughter cry. I know what it would feel like to have a Hollywood blockbuster hit, even though I don't have either of those. It's a very visual thing, and that's very, very important. And finally, close more sales became close so many sales in a week, your banker will think there's a typo in your check and you have to get it verified. The have to get it verified part was the best part of that, Scott, and that was a real winner. That was, I want you to just, guys, to dissect why that is so good. Okay. Close so many sales in a week. First of all, it's a definitive period of time. Your banker will think there's a typo in the check and you'll have to get it verified. Okay, it's one thing to think is a typo in the check. I think most people would stop there, but you'll have to get the check verified. That's just three layers there of greatness. Good job there, Scott. So that is an example. And by the way, and we talked about this on the early morning call. I want to emphasize this right now. These are versions of your primary goal that you will always use one time or maybe once every 4 or 5 months. If you use this in every email or whatever, it would sound so ridiculous, right? You're using these primarily as headlines, primarily as sign-offs, primarily as I'm going to shock value, like first openers in emails. And you want to come up with more than one version of this so that you can use it that way, but you're not going to use it as your go-to primary goal for sure. Close more sales, become a best-selling author. Those will always be your go-tos. Those are like scales. The others are like jazz solos. Think of it that way. Okay, so we're gonna dive into the excuse me, the homework hot seats, which will have some of the same things I just showed you, but I wanted to actually elaborate a little bit more on those. So do we have those handy? Oops,
I don't know who those are. Did Liana send them to you?
I think she probably did. My mistake. I'm moving a little slower this morning. Yes, she did. All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right, you should be seeing this here in a moment. All right. Like I said, a lot of these will be going over. So Derek, I'm going to go over yours because we always put these in order. Top five, guys. Top five, get in. Okay. So we're going to open this here, and we will start our timer here. Awesome. Give me 2 seconds, guys, to time this down because that way we can keep it to 10 minutes. Otherwise, it can go on for a long time. Awesome. And oh, by the way, I did not check this before I get Brendan's hopes up. Uh, if anyone has not been hot seated, let me know, because the people who have not been hot seated, they get first priority. So if you have not been hot seated in here, let me know. I know there's not two, so I don't mind going first with Derek. Now, so Derek used this one that I'm going to zoom up on this so you guys can see this better. Have Hollywood producers battling each other for rights to your book, and biggest. So I like that one too, battling each other. That's a really great way of saying it. To turn your book into the next biggest Hollywood blockbuster hit. That's great. Become a household name on par with J.K. Rowling. So that's anchoring. So I want to bring this up. Anchoring. These are three names that most people will know, and if definitely not, they'll know too. Okay. Dying to buy every single book you publish. Yeah, and this is kind of what I gave the hint of. Have one name celebrities, I think is what I said last week, but have Oprah beg you to come on her show, showcase your book as it dominates the bestseller month. Yeah, so that's good. So he did the same thing with these secondary goals expanded. Get flooded with requests from your ideal clients begging you to pay top dollar to work with you. Now this is really good, and the reason I'm bringing this one out, this one doesn't have the massive headline grabbing awe factor of the massively expanding ones, but so this is one you can actually use. You'll get flooded with requests from your ideal clients begging to pay top dollar to work with you. That's good. Okay, I love this one too. Now, what is he doing here? He's building great bullets. Just think about this. You can, or you will, before this, you will, and he's turning these into bullet points inside of a sales letter. So just think about, doesn't these, now I'm just doing this as an example. You get the idea. Using my system, you can now, you get the idea. We just created bullets just by expanding a secondary goal. Now you know why we're doing this. So again, if you guys are looking for blueprints and patterns and stuff you can mimic and follow, this is exactly how you do it. All I did was say, using my system, you can now, this is it. Now you got you got your tons of bullets here. This is really good. Now, see countless messages of gratitude every time you open your email on how your book. Here's the thing that I would just work on here if I were you, Derek. I'd work on just taking out any words that aren't necessary that you stumble over, because there are a few there's a speed bump words in here. See countless messages of gratitude every time you open your email for how your, you see what I'm saying? How might we say this in a much more condensed way, and where you don't stumble over the for how your book has changed people's lives. So it's not people, it's like a countless messages of gratitude every time you open your email. How do you say it? For how your book has changed people's lives. How about a change for how from fans bragging, for fans praising you for how you changed their lives, or fans bragging how they changed it. So it's a little bit more concise. Just be thinking about how do we trim that down. Again, one of your biggest copy tricks in the world that you can ever do to improve your copy is to read your copy out loud. And if you stumble over it, there could be a problem. But other than that, I don't have much more to say other than this, because I thought these were all really well done. But I did want to do the bullet trick here so you can see why we're doing this, right? Why are we expanding our secondary goals? Well, again, secondary goals can be used on their own as bullets, on their own completely. But the expanded versions of them are even better as bullets, and even more close, not even bullets per se, but benefits, offer benefits, because these are benefits driven as bullets, right? Bullets might be, when you pick up my system, you can turn to page 31 and discover the ancient Chinese secret to blah, blah, blah. That's kind of a typical Halbert style bullet that we actually do have that formula inside CopyPro. You can use it, but we're pulling from secondary goals. That's really what we're doing. So Derek, do you have any specific questions or comments here that I can address? Leanne, can you bring on Derek, please?
Oh, of course, duh. Sorry about that, Derek.
Hey guys, someone there?
Okay, Derek, you're unmuted.
Hey, John. No specific questions. This is awesome. Thanks for the feedback.
Okay. All right, well, there's not much more I can say on this one. I mean, this one was really short, so a lot of our homework is, I don't even have to set the timer for because we're not going to get to 10 minutes, but good job on this. All right, I need to know if anyone has not been hot seated yet. I want to make sure I get to one of these two. Now, I know Brandon has. I believe Tim has. Scott, in fact, I think Tim was last week. Scott, have you been hot? Can you see if Scott has been hot seated? Because again, we go to the people that have not been hot seated first.
Scott, if you hadn't, can you just type it in the question box? Scott has.
Okay, so Daniela.
Daniela has.
Okay, so we're going to look at Daniela's because she was number 2. And let's take a look at this here.
Hey, one comment I have while you're pulling that up. If you notice, everybody's selection that you've pulled up today has also been a raise in that person's status, right? Because the thing about the bank check, imagine being the person that walks up with a check to a bank and people are looking at you because they're calling the manager and getting the check
Right.
validate. Like that certainly raises your status, right? And if Hollywood producers are battling for you, ooh, that raises your status. And even being a better grandmother,
Yes.
that raises
Yes.
your status, right?
Raising your status. Not always, but yes, the ones we're playing up right now are raising statuses for sure. The if you do your primary goal in negative terms, like like David did, it's not going to be a raise of status. It's going to be a raise of basically life ability, right? But status is very important when you're thinking through these things. And speaking of which, let's get to weight loss for mompreneurs. Okay, so primary goal. Okay, this one I would argue with because I'm in this industry. This is a secondary goal. Unless you are, the only way that would be a primary goal is if you are saying the arm fat solution is the name of your book. So let's bring Daniela on so she can comment. Like, and by the way, there is a book out there to be had, like that's all about arm fat. Now we both know because we're in this business that we know that it's not possible to just lose arm fat. But if you had an arm fat solution, then this would be a primary goal. Their primary goal is to lose weight. Their primary goal is to lose body fat. Okay. But I'm still going to take this as a secondary goal, which, lose arm fat might be a secondary goal.
Daniela, you're unmuted, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. So you want nothing more than a Donna tank top this summer, but thick arm. Okay. So okay, this right here. Okay. I want you to think about like expanding this goal to sounding something more like this. Avoid, again, I know Italian being your 19th language. I mean, English is your 19th language, Italian is your first, but still, dawn is not something we say a lot. So we want to be cautious with the words that we say in English. I know the word, of course, but we never want to make people think about this. Wear a tank top this summer. Wear a tank top. Let me see. A picture wearing a tank top this summer and having people comment on the shape of your tricep muscles. I'm just giving you like a very there's nothing in there that's negative. Okay, it's not about self-conscious, thick arms. It's all positive, and you kind of want to drift toward that positive. I'm also painting a picture of the results that they're going to get. Of they're going to be able to wear a tank top and have people comment on their arms, or have wear a tank top around wear a tank top to, I'm going to get even more explicit. Wear a tank top to Whole Foods and have mothers come up to you, have daughters come up to you asking you what you do for those fabulous arms.
All right. Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
it's hard to get that nuanced when you're talking about just arm stuff, but we want to go in that direction. Okay. Again, then this is definitely a secondary goal, regain confidence back. So you're doing what's called a push pull, where you're saying you'll look forward to clothes shopping. So again, looking forward to clothes shopping doesn't tell me anything.
Okay.
What I'm wanting here is it's like you'll tap. You may have to worry about tapping out your credit cards at your favorite at the most exotic and favorite clothing stores you used to always that you've always dreamed of shopping in. This is, again, it's the wear the sexy black dress comment. I mean, this is where that comes from, and that's an expanded goal. It's like
Yeah.
wear that sexy black dress anywhere you go. Your husband may ask you to wear it around the house. I'm expanding it
Yeah.
like crazy, right? So I'm going to keep going. Now, again, you would never want to use that more than once, but you'll look so hot in sexy black dresses. Your husband may ask you to wear it around the house. That right there paints a picture that is completely visceral. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, you see where I'm going there? You can't
Yeah.
have flabby arms in your prospect's opinion in their mind and have your husband ask you to wear and what else could I'm saying sexy black dress, that strapless dress or whatever. So if you say strapless, then you know that your arms are showing. So you get the idea. That's
All right.
where I'm wanting to go with this. And I know that you missed last week, so you're kind of
Yeah.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I try to do it again and eventually email it to you? Because I really want to get this completely. So I'm totally
Just post it on the Facebook group. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the feedback,
You're
though.
welcome. Yeah. No,
Thank you.
good deal. All right, cool. So yeah, it's a little tricky, guys, to get this exactly right, but that's okay. Trickiness is part of what we do here. Okay, let's get on with our our time lesson for today. Now we're going to be shifting into the most important part of everything that we do here. Okay, and let's mute everyone, Leanne, so we have silence on the call. This is the idea of the primary solution. Now, Todd Brown calls this the unique mechanism. Other people have called it different names. We call it the primary solution. And before we define and even get into what a primary solution is, you guys first have to establish what their false solutions already are. And this is very important because I'm going to make some distinctions here that's going to be crucial for you going forward. These are ideas, tactics, strategies, programs, whatever, that your avatar has tried that let them down. And you may be thinking, wait, John, isn't that mistaken beliefs? No. Beliefs are mental barriers to getting where you want to go. False solutions are physical barriers, physical things they have tried. Beliefs are like, I have to have great genetics to be thin. That's a belief. There's nothing for you to try to have great genetics, right? That a false solution is something totally different. I have to starve myself. Okay, so it's something that you do. Now, these are essential to build goodwill. And you want to build goodwill because goodwill is part of rapport, but you also build goodwill by supplying value. And the best value you can supply is to save people time. If people read your emails or read your sales letters or whatever, and they know that if they read this, they're gonna get exposed. There's some stuff they're doing is gonna be exposed, and they can put it down. It's gonna save them time. It's gonna save them embarrassment. And that's how you phrase these. Look, if you've been embarrassed by this or you wasted your time with this, I don't blame you. Here's the truth of it. That's a false solution kind of setup, but it's set up in a goodwill value. Again, empathy is important. Notice these words. Something that you may have tried in the past. I didn't say something you tried in the past. That word may is very important because, again, we don't ever want to assume a fact unless you are absolutely 100% positive that fact is true for everyone reading it. Something you may have tried in the past will work for every single time. That probably let you down. Notice I didn't say you probably crashed and burned on that. This was probably a disaster for you. You probably feel like a fool. I'm not saying those things. The solution let you down. It's not you did something wrong or that what an idiot for choosing that. No, it's like you got duped into something and it let you down. Okay. Now we're focusing on false solutions first before you put the hammer down with the primary solution. In case you're wondering, we got to get all the false solutions first. I'm going to give you a tip. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and give you this tip. As you go through CopyPro and you do the false solutions, we have a little field called alternative. So here's what you do instead. Okay. And in that alternative, here's a few hints. If you do 3 false solutions, by the way, so none of this is on the slides in case you're wondering. If you do 3 false solutions and they're different, they're all slightly different, you'll have enough ammunition to build a primary solution because you'll see what you're telling them to do instead. And out of that will come out at least one thing that's slightly different than everything else, that's slightly unique. And you go, aha, if I can rename that, repackage that, I got my primary solution. Your primary solution is the unique mechanism that makes your product work. It is not your product. Okay. So we're going to get through the bad stuff before we get down to the good stuff. So here are some false solutions, examples. Starving yourself on low calorie or low fat diets. Okay, people, how many of you guys have ever been on a diet and done that? Starved yourself or whatever. Okay, attending wealth building workshops. Let's say that you're doing a course on how to generate wealth online. Well, attending these wealth building workshops, you're just spending money. You'll walk away and with tons of stuff to do, and you'll never do it. Those kind of things. Using clever pickup lines. These are just typical examples of false solutions. But notice that these should be common tactics your avatar has probably tried. So if I'm writing to dieters, they've probably tried starving themselves. They've probably at least tried a low-fat diet. If I'm writing to people wanting to gain wealth or trying to succeed online, they probably been to some wealth building workshops. If I'm writing to people that want to meet the ideal woman, they've probably tried using clever pickup lines. These should be really common things that they've tried. And here's the trick. Goodwill is achieved when you tell them what to do instead. And again, that paves your way to the primary solution. Okay, so that's what I talked about earlier. My product and or primary solution isn't it, but the components of your product solution can be. And the phrase I like to use a whole lot is helpful but incomplete. So when you're thinking of the tips that you're going to give people, like try this instead, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it in my sales letter here coming up here in a second for 4-day diet. And also I've done it this way for everything. It's helpful. You'll get the idea, but you'll see how incomplete it is. And I'll show you where I left it incomplete. Okay, so here's an example. Starving yourself on low calorie, low fat diets. It's actually one of my real ones. Okay, I want you to notice what my false solution alternative is. This is where all the magic happens, because I will build goodwill with you because you're like, cool, that's a good idea. But you're not going to know exactly how to pull it off. It's going to intrigue you. It's going to make you go, oh, okay, I want to know more about it, but it's not going to give you everything. So try cycling your carbs and calories. Essentially, you eat a diet lower in carbs and calories for a few days, then just at the right time, which is critical, you spike both calories and carbs. This gives you the best of both worlds. You get the benefits of all the low calorie dieting without depriving yourself. However, timing is critical. That's helpful, but it's incomplete, right? Helpful, but incomplete. Like, wait, what day do you do that? What time do you do that? Exactly. It's great information, but some stuff has been left out because that stuff is in your primary solution. And that leads us to the primary solution. Your primary solution is the most important variable in your copy. For example, super competitive. You're going to need to have something that stands out. And you notice if you watch all these weight loss hours, they almost all have good primary solutions or unique mechanisms, or what we call it primary solutions. It's a branded term, meaning you don't want to say, oh, my primary solution is to cycle your calories. That's not what you want to do. Your primary solution is a branded term around what does it mean to cycle calories, for example. So you come up with a branded term, meaning you come up with something that adds both uniqueness and curiosity to your offer. And think of branded terms as like, it's uppercase, lowercase, title case kind of thing. So you want something that's going to stand out. Okay. It is never your offer. It is also, by the way, this is not on the slides. It is also, excuse me, is also, apart from being never your offer, it is never a description. Meaning, if I read it, I get it. So my primary solution can never be cycle your calories on a 3-day split. Okay, that's the description of it. Okay, you need a term, a branded term to describe that if you want to stand out. Again, this is the unique mechanism that it powers your offer, but it is never your offer. If the offer for CopyPro, for example, if CopyPro's primary solution was CopyPro, that'd be silly, right? It's dynamic blueprints. Okay, that's our primary solution. Think of it like this. The solution is this is the phrase I use in my head when I come up with them. The solution is what experts now call blank, and it's only found within my product name. Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. Really interesting. Your primary solution, the components of it, cycling calories, for example, may be found in 1,000 different offers. But my name for that and my unique twist on it is only found within my product. Does that make sense? This is what makes everything magical work. This is so vital to understand this one catch. Okay. Other people may have parts of it. Some people may have most of it, but you have all of it and it's only found within your product name. Does that make sense? The goal is to have a customer or a client say, ah, maybe that's why I never succeeded before. That's it. Oh, okay. So I've never done that before. That sounds okay. This interesting, somewhat unique sounding, a little bit cryptic, definitely curiosity sounding kind of thing. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's why I haven't succeeded before. It gives them hope. And that's what you want to do. You want to give hope. Now here's a couple of famous primary solutions. Beechwood aged beer. Like I said, all beer is Beechwood aged. It just means keeping beer inside of a wooden inside wooden crates. Not exactly new, but they were the first one to say it. Muscle confusion. That was the primary solution behind P90X. Steam Clean technology behind Grill Daddy. That's a really big infomercial product. Steam Clean technology. Rotational refeeding and dynamic blueprints are two of mine. Okay, those are two inside the 4-day diet. Now I'm using rotational refeeding, as you're about to see, as our teaching mechanism. Dynamic blueprints, you know very well if you bought CopyPro, because that's hammered home inside of all of our webinars. It's like the whole thing that makes CopyPro works is our blueprints are dynamic. That is only found in CopyPro. So rotational refeeding. Experts are now referring to the solution to weight loss as rotational refeeding. You see how I can use this. I can use this 1,000 different ways. But how do you create one? Okay. Well, I'm going to take my example. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. I want to lose weight. Okay. Primary goal, I want to lose weight. Pretty simple. Phrased in the I version this time. So ask yourself, what works to do that? This first thing I say, well, what works to do that? Now, anyone that's in this business knows that there's some pretty basic things. Lowering your calories, eating less food, exercising more. Stuff they've tried and stuff that works, but stuff that sounds awful. Nothing about what I just said sounds unique, right? Nothing. Now, what's really interesting is when you're trying to come up with a primary solution, if your product has this if you were to define your primary solution, is my primary solution means that you lower your calories, eat less food, and exercise more. Well, that's the same thing that everyone else is saying, so you know automatically that it's going to suck, right? It's not working because people have tried that. There has to be a hook. There has to be something that you're doing slightly differently that causes that to work. And yes, while that is true, there's a myriad of other factors that go into weight loss. Everything from hormonal health to leptin refeeding. There's all sorts of things that go into what makes somebody lose weight. And I know that. I got to make it sound simple, right? So what I did is look for one unique approach that I took in my program. It was very simple for me because it was built around that one unique approach. After all, if your program is only the boring stuff, like I said, it won't work anyway. So what I do in my program is I ask people to eat less carbs and less calories for 3 days. So I ask them to basically go into a ketogenic state for 3 days. Then more of both on the 4th. And this is where it gets really interesting for me, is I'm like, I don't really care where those macros come from. Now, I'd prefer them come from healthy food, but if they come from sugar cookies, not going to kill you. Your body doesn't know the difference. Now, health-wise it does, but not when it comes to weight loss. So what I did is I just went to Google and I searched for eat less. I just termed eat less and found an article on rotational dieting. Now, I know what rotational dieting is. I've done it for 20 years. As someone in the bodybuilding world, I know exactly what that is, but I'd forgotten the phrase. So rotational, I used that one. And then I changed dieting to refeeding upon reading another article on strategic refeeds, which is what you do when you deplete yourself. You deplete yourself of carbs, you have to refeed your muscles. And refeeding is a very common term in weightlifting and bodybuilding and things of that nature. So I just put the two together. So rotational refeeding, it became there, presto. So this is not like, you don't have to be a genius copywriter to do this. You just have to learn how to put words together. And I like alliterations. So R&R, that works really good, right? R&R, rotational refeeding. And also refeeding sounds a lot better than dieting, doesn't it? And that's really what I'm asking someone to do. I'm asking them to eat more on a certain day at a certain time. So that's a refeed. I'm asking them to rotate their macronutrients. That's rotational. So that's how you define a primary solution. You just break it down into the core components. What am I asking someone to do? And how's another way of saying that? So I just go to Google. You'll be surprised what ideas you get just by typing a search into Google. It's pretty shocking. the ideas you can get. Okay, so many uses for primary solutions. I mean, Jesus, man, there's so many. Something experts, doctors, researchers, those in the know refer to as primary solutions. So you can use that just massively throughout all your sales letters, emails, subject lines, you name it. You name it. Another great subject line is this one. Could the real answer to weight loss, to blank, to whatever this may be primary solution? Again, that's a blind, meaning you don't know what it is. That's a blind either link. Could the real answer be rotational refeeding? Click here to find out. I've got your curiosity up. You don't know what it is. I haven't defined it yet. This is what experts are now calling blank. I'm an expert. I called it blank. It's real simple. Okay. Primary solution, the trick behind celebrity blank success. Now, I love this one. Again, this is a great subject line, our headline one. This is the trick behind celebrity weight loss success. Okay, so now you're pushing gray area here if it isn't, but almost every single person does some sort of refeeding and rotational calories. They just don't call it that. They don't do it on a 3-day cycle necessarily, but it's the same basic thing. There's only one system on earth that was created around primary solution, your offer here. Now, I love that one. That's how I tag into my offer. When I start going into the offer, we're going to dive into the offer. Get ready, folks. Next week, offer comes. And now you know how we're going to parlay into that offer. We're going to pivot. So, there's only one system on the planet that has rotational refeeding at its core that was designed completely around the power of rotational refeeding. It's called the 4-day diet. Introducing the 4-day diet. You get the idea, right? That is so much stronger than just talking about, there's only one system on earth that teaches you how to eat less for 3 days and eat more for 1. That's stupid. That sounds retarded. In fact, it sounds like almost insulting to people to say that. But no, it's like rotational refeeding is a little bit more strategic. It's not just eat less for 3 days and eat more for 1. It's just there's a strategy to it. There actually is, right? It's not just that simple. So the whole book was centered around that primary solution. So here's the big giveaway. Take what your book or your product or your course or your consulting is about, how you uniquely structure it, strip it down to its bare essence, and make that the primary solution. And I'm challenging you to give it a 2-word name. It can be 3, but no more than 3. 1 is awesome. I have yet to figure out how to do 1 really well, because 1, usually there's just not enough words there to make it 1. But 2, yeah, 2's really good. 2's really good. You could do like a hyphenated word, like the steam cleaning technology or whatever, but that's fine. 3's fine. So I'm not saying you can't do 3. I'm just saying don't use something like 5 words or 4 words. That's just going to get too wordy. So you want something that you can trademark. That if you, not literally, like you might not be, I don't know if I could literally rotational refeeding can be trademarked or not, but something that's what you would put in as a trademark. But that's not the name of my book. That's not the name of my product. That is the primary mechanism behind my product. Now, I'm leaving lots of times for Q&As today because I'm going to assume that there's going to be a lot of them. Now, this was very quick to teach. This is not easy to do. Well, I say it's not easy to do. Some of you will do this effortlessly. Like you'll see it and you'll go, got it. Some of you watching this right now will be going, wait, what is unique about my product? What is unique about my service? So what am I asking you to do in reality here? I'm really asking you to dig deep and find that unique part. Because what most marketers don't do when they're trying to sell something, they don't go for what's unique about their product or service. They hammer on about the product or service, but not what's unique about it, not what makes it stand out completely from everything else. And if you find that is your primary solution. That's the primary solution. The only product in the world that has it is yours. And if you don't feel comfortable saying that, you say the only product that was built from the ground up to be centered around primary solution is this. So that's what I would do for that. So we're gonna take questions and answers now. Leanne, if we can bring on the questions.
Yep. Well, I have a quick question. I mean, one thing about that, the Beechwood Aged, it wasn't like you said everybody had it. So while it doesn't have to be unique, it has to be not commonly known in the marketplace, right?
Right. Yeah. In fact, I think it was Claude Hopkins that was either responsible for that or responsible for something similar to that with another beer company.
The Schlitz beer purified.
Right. So so let's just pretend it was Claude for a second. I remember what the quote was that he said. He said, they said, well, yeah, every beer is this. He goes, yeah, but no one's mentioned it yet. And that's the same thing, by the way, with Beechwood 8. Every beer was, but no one mentioned it yet. And they just came up with a name for it. So now they didn't say it's the only beer that's Beechwood. Again, they said Beechwood Age. Well, they let your mind fill in the only beer. I think eventually they did start saying that. Come to think of it, I don't remember. It's a long time ago. But the point is that yeah, it doesn't have to be unique. It could be something that someone's not noticed yet, that someone's not pointed out yet. You know. So that's good. Okay, great. Let's take some questions here.
We got one question from Dobby so far. Question about saving people time. Don't a lot of people in the aging niche want to have their time wasted? I'm thinking older people to whom a VSL feels like someone talking to them, keeping them from their sense of loneliness. I'm not sure you might have to rephrase that, Dovey.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't understand the question either. I kind of get. I think I know what he's trying to say. In other
I
words,
think he's trying to say that older people want to have extra time, right?
they want to have companionship and people talk. Think of, but I'm not sure what the context of the question is. Can you be more specific?
Yeah, Dovey, you need to rephrase the what they want and why it's a benefit. I know that the most valuable thing you can do is save people time, which is true. And John Colton said it too. If you could give people the magic pill and the next morning they'd have $1 million more in the bank account, be able to, have their perfect spouse and blah, blah, blah. That's what we want. We don't want to work
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah. In that demographic, if it's people that are say 65 and older or whatever, and you could wave a magic wand, it would be to roll the hands of time back, is to stop time, to go back in time. It's not. I remember reading a letter that was geared toward people over 65, and the guy said, I was critiquing. He said, "Wouldn't it be great to just to stop the hands of time?" And I can, I tell you, I'm not near that age, but I can tell you right now, it's like most people, even my age, were like, you know what? No, I'd like to turn it back, not stop it, And I ran that by a couple of friends of mine that were in their 60s. They're going, no, no, I don't want to stop it here. I want to stop it about 15 years ago, maybe, but they want to turn it back. So yeah, that's, I don't know if this is helpful or not, because I don't understand the context of the question, but I do know that there's probably some psychology there that's valid when you're talking about, like, don't people who are older, they feel lonely, and especially if they're widowed or whatever. Yes, absolutely, and having a friendly voice on the other end of the computer to talk to, whether that's a VSL or something else, is something that's a very good thing. But it's still something like, again, I have to get more clarity in your question, but something that if you were to say, we both know how valuable time is and how little of it is left for both of us. Again, listen to how I'm talking here. It's all rapport based. So to make I want to give you as much information I can and honor your sacred time, the time the time that we both have left to make a big difference in the world. So I'm building a case that you're about to die. I'm just doing it in a really nice way. And I'm doing it in a really respectful way. And I'm doing it the way that I would do it for real. I mean, unless I need to tell somebody, hey, look, you're about to die, dude, wake up. Which I've said before in VSLs. But, if you're just going to keep abusing your body, you're going to die sooner than you should. But yeah, so those are different ways of saying that. So let me know if any of that hits on the answer to that. So, Leanne?
And we have a question from Tim. He said, when you were going through your primary solution, how similar, dissimilar is the primary solution and a USP?
A USP is, by the way, that's a great question, and you're going to build one next week. So a USP will sound something like, the 4-Day Diet is the world's foremost weight loss blueprint that allows it allows men and women of all ages to lose weight effortlessly without blah 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 blah. So that's a typical USP. I'm just rattling off the top of my head. So there's a formula that we use for USPs, but in no way do I ever use the primary solution in the USP. It's just never used. A USP is always this is a great way to think about a USP. We're jumping ahead a week. is there should be nothing in a USP that someone goes, I don't know what that word means. I don't know what that phrase means. So if I say rotational refeeding, then no, I don't want them to know what that means. So there's a time for you not to be clear. When people say clarity is power, copywriting is about clarity, yes, unless it's about mystery, then you absolutely don't want to be clear. You want to inspire, like, oh, what the hell does that mean? Which is what the primary solution is, which is what the primary cause is. It's a bit of mystery, So you want to pull people over there. Your USP is every single word of that USP is something that everyone knows. I have the only online software in the world that writes intelligent copy at a click of a button that any marketer in the world can use to promote and sell their offer. I mean, that's not my real USP, but I'm just kind of making it up as we go along. Yeah. So there's not much in there that people wouldn't have understood. I would even break down the intelligently written, but you get the idea. So that's the big difference. Great question, though.
Yeah, that was really good. And Patricia is asking, I totally get this, Patricia. Do you have any brainstorming tactics that give you results aside from cold showers?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I lost that for a moment.
Do you have brainstorming tactics, ways that give you ideas that have given you results aside from the cold showers?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's so many studies done on this, on when ideas come into the brain. They come in when you walk away from something, when you're not thinking about it. Your subconscious chews on it and spits out the answer. So anything that you take a walk, take a walk and don't think about that. You can be in a conversation with somebody. Here's the challenge with this is I get great ideas when I'm in a conversation with somebody about something completely different. And I don't want to stop the middle of the conversation and go, oh, wait, this just came to me. So hence the desired format of, just a shower, just getting in the shower. A cold shower is just going to highlight your senses like crazy. But yeah, I get ideas in the gym. I used to get ideas in the gym. My brain is so much into the workouts that it's really hard for me to get ideas in the gym. But I'll get ideas doing cardio on the rare times I do it, because it's just so freaking boring. That's another way you can do it. Just get on a treadmill and walk into oblivion, and you're gonna get ideas. I mean, your brain's just gonna spin, But I like to supercharge those ideas. So, that's I like to. They're basically idea hacks. Like, what's the fastest way to get ideas? Another way you can get ideas, and this is fun to do, is you can get like a group of people together and you get and do like a word game. You can say, okay, I'm trying to come up with an idea like this. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say blank? No censorship. First thing that comes to mind when I say weight loss, and somebody might say fat arms, and now you know that you should write a book called The Fat Arm Solution, or whatever, the Flabby Arm Solution. Which, by the way, that could actually be like a really good, I wouldn't call it a book. I would definitely say, man, would that make a great lead magnet for women. I mean, women really freaking hate that problem. And by the way, guys, just not to be more focused on gender here, but that problem is infinitely more problematic for women than for men. Same with, thigh fat. Men don't care about and don't have that. That's not where we we don't deposit fat most of the time on our tricep area or our hips. We deposit like on love handles and things like that. And so women don't respond as well to love handles. You can send out love handle emails and they'll just bounce right off of women. They don't really care as much. Muffin top is a little bit different, but yeah, knowing your avatar. I think that would make a great lead magnet. So, and by the way, this whole conversation, which we've had since 8:30 this morning, when I joined the call originally, we were talking about this concept that she had of, and we did it, on a hot seat, that arm fat for a primary goal. It's not a primary goal. It's a secondary goal, unless. Notice how this has evolved. Like, the more I thought about it, it's like, well, it's not a primary goal unless your book is called The Arm Fat Solution. Then all of a sudden it is the primary goal. And while I can't see a book like that, then again, I couldn't see a lot of things that people have succeeded at. I can definitely see that being a kick-ass lead magnet. So see, you stumbled onto something because you did not censor yourself. Good job with that. So anyway, just FYI. So you should totally make that lead magnet.
Absolutely. Elaine says that there is the sleeveless, sexy online program by JJ Virgin. So there you go.
My friend JJ has it. How about that? Yeah, I know, and she's got she's got arms of steel, so that makes sense. But yeah, there could be another one.
Yep. Oh, of course. And
Yeah,
Scott shared a great book. James Webb Young has a book on Amazon. It's $7. It's a short read, and it's a great book for producing ideas.
cool. What was that in the book?
I think it's called The Technique for Producing Ideas by James Webb Young.
Okay, great. Well, let's put that into the. I
I'll
haven't
put
heard.
it in the chat.
Yeah, that would absolve you from cold showers there, Daniela. So
And I've always found that putting a lot of data in, so by just absorbing a lot of information, then when you get in the cold shower, your brain actually has data to pull from, right? Like you
right,
can't just expect it to come from nowhere, but if you've read a lot and then you just ignore it, that's when all it just comes flooding in.
right.
So let me get that book for you. When I get your next question from
Yeah.
Brennan.
Before you do that, one second, Leon. I want to make sure that I think the homework should be really self-evident here. It's go complete your solutions tab. It's in the syllabus. Your focus is on fall solutions and developing your primary solution. But when you develop your primary solution, you got to define it. You got to create an analogy for it. Those are all inside Copy Pro. All the lessons are already there. They're not hard. It just takes you time to do it, but you're going to definitely want to do that. And I'm going to be looking, especially in the homework, for people that did an analogy. We didn't teach that technique because teaching an analogy is it's really pretty straightforward. You're going to create an analogy. Think of primary solution as like lacing your shoes or whatever it may be. So I want to see your analogy, and that's already taught inside Copy Pro. Like I said, I'm saving time here, not teaching it twice. But so that's the homework for the next week. Okay, Leon.
All right, so Brennan's question is, how does the primary solution factor into non-service-based products? For instance, if you're writing an ad for something like a watch, jewelry, physical product, suit, car,
So for
or
example,
beer.
let's say, well, beer, yeah, but let's say a suit, a car, something that you say you're writing an ad for a watch, okay? So something you wouldn't think would have that. It's like, our watches are created using what we call the Swiss, Swiss armchair technology. I just made this up. Okay, so that's 3 words. Swiss armchair. I couldn't think of a third word because I don't know much about watches. So, but you get the idea. It's like, that powers that goes into every watch we build, every watch we repair. It's this mindset of the Swiss, geniuses or whatever. You can pull out primary solutions on anything. And by the way, on the ones that you can't, it's fine. Like I said, there are going to be times where you won't use the Mixolydian scale in a solo, but you need to learn it anyway. But most things have primary solutions. It's a great exercise to come up with those, especially for things that seem really pedantic almost, like you're talking about bicycle repair or something. I mean, I can do this because I've done it so many times, but I'm thinking what a bicycle repair shop, if they really wanted to capitalize on something, is like, what makes all of we approach every single bike as if with we call it the baseball card, like a baseball card, thing. So like with not baseball card, what they call it, where they put, we put back when you were a kid, you put like um uh cards, like playing cards in the spokes to make it sound like you were like, had a motor and stuff. And so we did this playing card thing. I was trying to think of a phrase for that, but my brain's not working right now. But it's like playing card, we're with a playing card technique. Okay, so it's like we're a kid. Basically, all I'm saying is, when we repair a bike, we go back to when we were 5, 6, 7 years old, and we think about how much that bike meant to us, so we know how much it means to your kid. We call it the playing card technique. I'm just rattling stuff off at this point, but you get the idea. Remember when you see, I could build a whole nostalgia thing on that, especially for people that are over 40. Remember when you used to, take clothespins and put, put playing cards in the spokes of your wheels, or when you used to put stuff kids used to do to their bikes to make them cooler. Would it be neat to have a bike repair shop that took that approach toward bikes rather than just another, machine with two wheels and a chain? That's the approach we take to bikes. We go back to when we were kids. I just wrote the whole freaking sales letter over that one idea. So yeah, I took the most mundane thing I could think of and just ended up with a nostalgic sales letter because I'm thinking through it from the concept of a primary solution. Cool.
Very cool. Derek says the flabby arm fix would make a great title for Daniela's book.
What would?
The flabby arm fix.
The flabby arm fix. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, book/lead magnet. Yeah, good one. How are we doing on questions, Leanne?
Let's see. Oscar says, I struggled coming up with a primary solution for my own freelance copywriting service. I actually came out with one for a critique service, making and naming my checklist and making it my primary solution, but not for my main copy service. I believe my process is similar to other copywriters: research, draft, final draft, deliver copy. Any ideas?
Yeah. So I take those words, put them into Google.
And again, I think what John said before too is that it doesn't have to be unique. It just has to be something people aren't talking about, right? So how could you phrase that differently? And John, I think we lost your audio.
Oh, really? I'm talking right into my mic.
Let me check and see if John's still here.
No, I'm here. Huh. Okay.
Oh, sorry. It was just my setup that messed up. Okay.
You and your sub. Okay. I'm like, okay, I'm talking right in my mic. No, what's going on? So yeah, copywriting. Something obviously I know a little bit about. So you ask yourself, what is it? What in your process, if anything, it might not be unique, but what gets you the best response? What gets you, like, what's the secret sauce that you deliver as a copywriter? And it could be something that 10 other copywriters deliver. You're still just going to name it. Just going to name it. It's like, and it could be the X method. Okay, no, that's not the name of it, but X, fill in whatever the X is there. The X method. I go through a unique process of getting of asking questions that forces you to bring out answers you never would think of before. It forces you to think of products and services and avatars in ways that you would never think of before. I call it the X method. There you go. Just find what that X is, and you got your primary solution.
Would this be similar, John? What Ryan and Perry did over at Digital Marketer when they took a self-liquidating offer, which had been in like the marketing world for years and was just very common, and renamed it Tripwire and branded it their own. Now, it's not a primary solution, but they did take something that was normal and they renamed it.
Yeah.
They didn't change the thing. A Tripwire and a self-liquidating offer are exactly the same thing. They just renamed it for their company.
Yep. Yeah. And it's not a primary solution like you said, but it's the same
Exactly.
tactic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just use that same tactic. Just take something that copywriters do. Hopefully your intake form, encourages or almost forces people to answer questions in ways they've never thought about. And you can just say that your method is built around that. Cool.
Yep, I'm waiting. Oh, Oscar said thanks. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Comment From Tim, the best, most copy development friendly for a specific market brainstorming he's done is through a deep dive survey or ask method, from Ryan Levesque. You get answers using the prospect's actual words.
Right. Right. You could turn that into like, for example, so, okay, I'm going to give it to you here, Oscar, the echo strategy. Okay. So okay, what did I just do in my mind? I just listened to what Tim just said using their own words. Okay. What else uses their own words? I'm just drilling down, and the guys might want to listen to this one because this is really good. I'm drilling down and asking myself, what other things do I listen to my own words when I'm talking to myself, when I'm talking into a cave, echo, the echo strategy, or so that's just the echo, you can call it the echo X, but strategy works, the echo strategy. So I'm going to teach you how to speak to your customer using their words, the exact words and phrases they're thinking in their own mind, so that when you do, it'll feel like you're reading their mind. I mean, you see how that just kind of wrote itself? I didn't have to think about it. I mean, granted, I am a copywriter. I've written those exact words before, but I've never used the term the echo strategy. That's a good one. You're echoing back what they're saying to themselves. So all I just want you to hear what I did, because I want you to do the same thing and come up with something unique. Is all I did was take what was spoken, and I didn't have to, in this particular case, use Google or use a thesaurus, but I could have gone to thesaurus.com. I could have just typed that in Google, and eventually the word echo would have popped up, and some other word will pop up. And that's how I build these solutions. It's really a pretty nominal trick. It just, people get hung up on it because it sounds scarier than it really is. But especially customers, by the way, that go through CopyPro, like non-copywriters, they're like they draw blanks here. We make customers do this. This is not something we, even in CopyPro 2, when we're having copywriters write all the blueprints for everybody, and it's all done for it. That part's never done for somebody. So we'll walk them through it on a coaching call. We'll teach them live. We give them lots of training, but we're asking normal folks, people that own pet companies, to come up with primary solutions, and they have to dig deep. It's very important, especially if look at a dry cleaner. Okay, something that's so absolutely mundane. Okay, all basically the same, right? Well, somebody comes up with some phrase called, 1 hour Martinizing years ago, and I don't know what that means, but it sounds really good. So that became the thing, or whatever, it's something that they come up with. It's like that, maybe it's everything else is doing. They just named it. They named it. So that the way that you name something, if you're stuck on names and it doesn't just pop in your head, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Give yourself 48 hours. Like I tell everyone, look, hey, don't think that you have to know this right now. You don't. Give yourself time to marinate, give your subconscious time to bake on it, but also go to Google. Google is your friend here. Type in the words. Ask a group of friends, hey, what's the first word when you think of blank? That's how you find these answers. And it will come to you and it'll go, that works. And then you'll find something you like, and ta-da, you're on to the next thing. So is that helpful, guys?
Yes, people are saying thanks.
Awesome.
Also,
okay.
if you don't have if you don't have the wherewithal to do a deep dive, full-fledged ask survey, ask campaign, you can go to Amazon and read the 2-star and 1-star reviews, because well, not the one, because those are people who are just haters, but the 2-star and the 3-star gives you really good. I mean, you want to know what people are saying, what that book might have omitted, blah blah blah. You'll find a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, reviews are great, forums are great. I mean, again, this comes back down to what we've been saying from day one: is know thy avatar, know what they're saying, and get their words. And again, you can take what their words are. Like they're not thinking the words echo. What I said, the ecosystem. So now there's a 9 Inch Nails song called Echoplex. I was just thinking that I could call it Echoplex, which would be a one-word primary solution. There, I got my one-word primary solution. Granted, it's stolen from a song, but You know, what does that mean? I don't. So the echoplex technique is like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means, but it's the secret sauce behind Oscar's copywriting service, whatever the name of your copywriting service. So it's all about echoplex. And so I don't know what that means. But I want to know what that means. You know, it's like it's more like it has to build intrigue. You know, it has to. Intrigue is just so important. You know, I mean, I'll close on this note that when you can write an email, for example, and say, there's a new way to lose weight that I just came across that works, that forces your body to release fat stores at between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning. It's the craziest, easiest, weirdest thing I've ever tried. I can't believe I didn't think of it before. It was right in front of my eyes. In fact, it was in my kitchen sink. It was in my kitchen. Rather it's in my refrigerator or something. All the time. Here's how you do it. Now, and that's it. Now that's called a blind email. It's called, it could be a blind sales page, blind email, blind landers. Blind means there's no description of what it is. It's all built to build curiosity. Okay. So think of primary solutions as that. You don't have to define what it even is until I ask you to define it. Because when you define it, then you say what it is. Okay, what is this rotational repeating thing I talk about? Well, here's what it is. Well, now you're on the sales page. So, and even in my definition, by the way, it's going to be defined, but somewhat incomplete. I'm not going to define the whole thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to define it. I'm going to say, now that's a brief overview. Of course, there's more to it than that. And we'll get to that in just a moment. And that's kind of important. That's just a brief overview. I always say there's more to it than that. And that's why I've created a whole system to explain the more to it than that. And then you have to buy the system. So just think of it that way, guys. And so, you have your homework, dive into primary solution. And I'm looking forward to reading this on Facebook, guys, and seeing what you come up with. And we will talk to you on Friday. Next Friday, when we dive into more copywriting genius and looking at your genius as we go along here. And you guys are great. Look forward to reading what you got. Thanks, everyone.